Hey everyone, it's Lee Chazen here in Davis, California. Out walking on the way to my office, my quote-unquote office at the public library, and where I do work in generative AI, consulting, workshops, training, customized chatbots, that kind of thing. My background is in education, where I was a high school teacher of world history, U.S. government, and sometimes speech and debate. Also a horn player. And I never majored in music, but I played in a lot of different performing groups. Well, the good news is that all of this is coming together, all this background and experience, and I can show you how this is going to work for you too, how to bring all your different experiences, no matter what they are, into AI. And get some great results. So I just came up with this idea maybe 12 minutes ago, and I'm not making that up. The idea is, hey, while I'm in between places and walking around, I could do a quick podcast where I share some insights on AI, maybe give you a couple of tricks and ideas, things you can try, and no need for fancy camera equipment or video. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. And later, I might come back and put it into video form so you can see what I'm talking about. Because, you don't need to see me. You just need to know what's going on. And my goal here is to give you a perspective that's not out there so much. I did this tour of the country this past summer. I called it the Generative AI Train Tour. And part of it was, I'll be honest, I was just trying to save some money on rent, and I thought I would travel and go meet people, tell them about what I've been developing with AI, what I'm building, and do some selling. Because when you get into the consulting field, I found out, you have to sell what you're developing. You cannot just expect people to find you. You have to find them. All right, but let's get to the gist of this, which is, this is what I know about AI. Okay, so if you're a beginner, if you're advanced, you can skip over this part and just come back to a later episode, or you can listen to make sure I'm getting the facts correct. But in, early 2023, ChatGPT 3.5 came out, and it was a large language model. Nobody knew really what an LLM was, but basically the AI, and I can't get super into the weeds because I'm more into the what do you do with this tool. That's kind of where I come in. But I can tell you that, so a large language model has certain rules, and it was based on sequencing, like what is the most likely word to come after a certain word. So it's kind of predictive text. And so based on that, it can start generating text and generating answers, but it's way more complex, and I can't explain that whole process. But I will tell you that the training data was like 1 trillion tokens. And these are bits of information. And basically trained on, well, they call it the corpus text, which just means the body of text. And it's all of humanity. It's all of our written works on the internet. If the internet didn't exist, they would have had to just scan everything in the Library of Congress, because I think it's like the equivalent of that. At least all of Wikipedia, everyone's blog, whatever's on YouTube, whatever you can find on a Google search, you can pretty much find with generative AI. And they call it generative because it generates an answer. It doesn't, so whereas Google will give you a lot of listings, and now, up at the top, it will give you an answer if it's linked to AI. But Google will give you listings. And those listings are driven by an algorithm, which, if you don't know, is commercially based. Meaning, there's this thing called search engine optimization, SEO, and any company, any business takes advantage of this to get whatever their promoting their product, service, plan, idea, whatever, goes to the top. That may or may not be what you're looking for. So this is where AI has the advantage. AI is going to attempt to give you an answer, but we have to be on top of this. We have to make sure. We have to listen to a lot of YouTube videos, and whenever there's a committee in Congress that is discussing this, it's a good idea to pay attention, because we want to make sure that it's giving you what you want and not what, a company or business wants you to have. I mean, that's if I'm talking to you as a consumer. Naturally, if you're in business, sure, you're going to use it for business purposes. So this all leads me to natural language programming. Now, here's the thing. It's way different. It's way different than previous programming languages because it's English. It is, if you have a question, these things are called prompts. So if you have a query, a question, if you are putting a thought out there, that's just called a prompt. They come in different forms. You can ask a simple question, but if I continue to do these podcast episodes, I'll show you how you can get more out of each prompt. Basically, it's the better the question, the deeper, the more creative, the more imaginative, the better the response. And honestly, one of the best things you can do is to just get a conversation going. Because you are talking to, and I brought this up in a recent meeting with a bunch of AI consultants, people in business, and you're talking to really the sum total of all of humanity and a powerful computer engine. That may not be a great technical description, but instead of thinking of it as talking to a machine, you're talking to a mirror of all of humanity that has machine architecture. So what I've noticed is if I level up, if I ask a deeper, more profound, more imaginative question, it's anthropomorphic to say this, meaning I'm trying to make it like a human to say it, but I feel like I'm giving it respect, and so I'm getting a more, I believe, and that may or may not be the reason, but I'm getting better answers. And so one of the first prompts I wrote was 800 words. I modified it to be about 1,000 words, and it was all about creating questions for this educational game that I had developed. And I gave it some training data sets, which I can also explain to you later. And I was so blown away, I thought, wow, this is the future. I only want to create ChatGPT prompts, customized chatbots. I just want to go to town on this, and that's all. I've been doing that straight for 2.5 years. If you go over to my Flow GPT page, you'll see that many of these are being used. But I don't want to do a lot of self-promotional stuff now because, I don't know, I really want to get you up to speed. So, or maybe you are up to speed, but you're approaching it differently. But either way, I want to get this perspective out there because it's important that all the voices, all the people working in this field are understood. And the point I want to make there is that I have a feeling because you're communicating with such an intelligent entity that the kind of person working in the field, like as a prompt engineer, a prompt writer, prompt developer, whatever you call it, is going to be different than previous software engineers. It's not about code, although that's a part of it. That can be a part of it. But you can also get AI to write the code and build it. And then it'll walk you through the instructions on how to embed that code, how to use it. So I think there's a different personality type of the creative sort of person who uses this And because it's English and not programming language, it uses a different side of the brain. That's my opinion, and I hope we get more people like that into the field because it will open up the possibilities. So I think that's all I'm going to say for this episode. There's more I could get into, but I guess, let me just explain one thing a little bit better. So when I said it's natural language programming, it is, it's all English language, meaning any type of question, thought, or idea can go into that prompt window. And it's best, I think, to get into a dialogue. Like, I have a few ideas I wanted to share with you today. I'm not sure how they all come together. But here's what I'm thinking, and then you list those ideas, and then you say, am I missing anything? Is there a connection between those ideas? Is there any research to back up my theory or my idea? Is this being used anywhere in the world? Or what other questions should I be asking? So I even did one of my original chatbots was a 10x deep learning tool. And the idea there was, let's say you wanted to learn about a topic. And I'll tell you where it came from first, so you know what I'm talking about. So I was hiking near the coast in California, and I saw this ship out at sea. And I thought, wow, that would make a cool picture. So I noticed in my camera the ship didn't look too big, so I tried to zoom in, and I noticed that it lost clarity, it became kind of fuzzy. I thought, well, that's not going to make a very good picture. But it's weird. An app kind of opened up on my phone, and it said, like, you could pay X amount of dollars, and you can get greater clarity. And I'm thinking, how does that even work? So I asked a software engineer about this, and he said, well, what it's doing, because it's digital, it's not actually focusing in any better. Like, it has something to do with the lens. What the software is doing is it's pixelating and matching the colors more densely, I think, and creating a more clear image, which is weird because, so then when you look at that more clear picture, you think you're looking at the actual thing, but in reality, you're looking at a kind of a digitized version of it that looks like reality, which is crazy to think about. But this idea popped in my mind. What if questions work like that? Like, I have this idea, but right now it's real fuzzy. It's way out in the distance. How can I 10x that and gain greater clarity and pixelate that image so that I understand a topic? Well, when I asked AI about this, we went back and forth in a conversation. It understood what I was wanting to do. And so I worked for a couple of hours on this. And the idea was, you ask the first question, and that's supposed to elicit the next deeper question. And it would write that out. And then that would elicit the next deeper question, and then give an answer to that. So, for example, like, what is water? And then it would say, well, to know water, we have to know what H2O is. So what is hydrogen? What is 2 oxygen? What happens when they combine? How does that form water? And then I forget what some of the other questions were. But it's like if you want to know water, you want to know the H2O. If you want to know what H2O is, you have to understand the periodic table. To understand the periodic table, you might have to understand the origins of science. I don't know. It could go a lot of different directions. But anyway, that's just an example I wanted to give you of let your imagination go free. AI will not disrespect you. It will respect what you have to say, and it will help you develop like a personalized chatbot to explore things you've always wanted to explore and give you the answers you want, but to also open up your brain and in the process probably make you a more intelligent person. So that's it for episode 1. I'm at my destination, and I'll see you next time.